gonna start off with a video. As we continue from these chapters forward, we're gonna start to hear more and more and more of the word Armageddon. And so I told you a few weeks past that there's a little bit of video out by Amir Sephardi, who is a captain in the Israeli military, and he lived on the rim of Armageddon Valley. So he's gonna give us a modern day insight to what this place really looks like and what's for. So you ready? Let her go, Jacob. I hear noise.
Obviously not getting the sound. Okay, so that's I took
The mouth's moving.
I know what you're saying, but I don't get what.
Oh, maybe that was that book.
It might be just a book in purpose.
I should have. Okay, here we go. That's him. Thank you, Jake.
Oh, man.
Now, still no voice.
That's Amir.
Yeah, we've got closed caption. Thank God for that.
I wouldn't want to live on the edge of Armageddon.
Select the other channel, probably.
Now, you know where the Battle of Armageddon's gonna be, what the name of the valley is? I know you know. What was it?
McGee.
You know. Yeah.
Translate that. What does it mean? What does it mean?
It's the valley we're in.
That's the name. Yeah, Armageddon.
Megiddo, yeah. Is there, does it mean something?
What is that?
It's the valley.
Yeah, I know.
That's.
That's
I don't know where it's at. All right, let's start that. That's what I think.
Helen,
Yeah.
you know what, Pastor Greg?
Yeah.
That is a very, very, I mean, I don't know what army would go through that unless you're under the Civil War. They got high ground, they got. And there's the low ground, there's no cover whatsoever.
and we're stuck on living on the edge.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I think we need to do rehearsals about it.
Shooting, it's stopped the whole column, and I've seen that happen.
While we're waiting, I've got a correction to make on our lesson last week. You remember when we looked into Ezekiel and we talked about Satan having musical instruments coming out of him? I didn't read the rest of this, the rest of my notes. And it says in Ezekiel 28:11-19 that Satan was actually created with musical instruments embedded in him. But that's not the King James interpretation. So, sorry, left you somewhat confused. It's why I forgot to add the statement. In the New King James Version and the King James Version interprets this passage as Satan possessing built-in musical instruments. what it's actually suggesting is he was adorned, as a musical angelic being. He didn't walk around with his chair and come to a couple of drums. Does that make more sense?
Somebody asked what Megiddo means. I happen to have it Googled. It's an ancient strategically vital city in northern Israel located in the Jezreel Valley, historically renowned as a major battlefield and trade hub, meaning place of troops or place of many organisms, is best known as the biblical site of Armageddon, a word derived from Har Megiddo, Mount Megiddo, foretold as the location of the final battle between good and evil.
Awesome.
I
So
give
there you
you
go.
to put you into that, Armageddon is not a battle. Armageddon is a location, a gathering spot. Jake, if you can't get it to work, we'll just go ahead and start, and if it comes up, let me know.
Okay, alrighty,
We'll start with chapter, back to our lessons, Revelation chapter 13, Revelation, I keep following the plural. Now, let's set the stage for what's about to happen. So there's a lot of things gonna pick up speed, as we get closer to the true second coming of Jesus. The Antichrist first, you may find this interesting. In 2023, the leader of China, Premier Li Peng, and Premier Netanyahu of Israel were having a conversation over their respective countries' history. At the time of this discussion, China was 4,000 years old into its history, and its population was somewhere around 1.5 billion people. It was also noted in the conversation that India was 5,000 years old into its history, with a current population of 1.4 billion. Netanyahu added his point, and we're talking about Jews. He said, our Jewish history is 4,000 years old and a current population of 15.7 million. And he added, we have no land to call our own. So if you have your own territory, your population grows, but as we know, Israel has went after one issue right after another. So they're old as the other two, but they don't have anywhere to call home. So it's an ongoing battle for the Jewish people because the world still wants them to destroy them. Not just the people, but the world. Now, as a reminder here in our setting the stage for this chapter, the word Antichrist does not appear anywhere in Revelation. You remember what the Antichrist is referred as? He's the beast. Beast is the term used for Antichrist, so there's no New Testament writer that uses this word Antichrist except John. And he people. But he uses it 4 times. He uses it in 1 John 2:18, 2 John verse 22, I'm sorry, the 2nd chapter 22, the 4th chapter in verse 3, and then 2 John verse 1:7. The names and titles as we go through this of the Antichrist, because there always seems to be more than one. The beast is used 28 times in Revelation, so that becomes fairly easy to follow. He's also the man of lawlessness, or as in the NIV version, he's called the son of perdition. That's in 2 Thessalonians 2:3. He's also called the foolish shepherd in Zechariah 11, verses 15 through 17. I like this one. The king who exalts himself in Daniel chapter 11, verses 36 through 45. Now, a little added humor here, but while we're talking about the Antichrist, we'll be looking at 1, who he is. 2, is he here now? 3,
what was in for the five and four, which candidate did.
But yeah, that was pretty good.
Mhm.
That's not my joke, but I thought it was pretty good. So the storyline here we're gonna follow, when we look at chapter 13, we will see the storyline between chapters 12, 13, and 14. In chapter 12, which will get finished up, the explanation of God's redemptive plan through a woman and a child. You know who the woman was?
Israel.
And the child, that's gonna be Jesus. In chapter 13, the opposition to that plan by the dragon, the beast out of the sea, and the beast of the earth. And in chapter 14, which will be 8, next in line, the proclamation, chapter 14 will be a proclamation of that plan by the three angels. In chapter 13, which we're in tonight, there's two distinct parts. Verses 1 through 10 is about the beast, the Antichrist, and the second section is verses 11 through 18, which is about the false prophet. Now, what do we know about the working of the beast and the false prophet? They're gonna do this together. One of them's gonna be in charge, and the other one's gonna be in charge of whatever to worship the beast. Or you
Promote
don't do that,
one
you're gonna get your head cut off.
one world government and one world religion.
One world religion, and one economic system.
Yep.
These two, the beast and the false prophet, will work in tandem as world figures to oppose God's redemptive plan and try to advance a demonic agenda. And they advance that, but they take a lot of lives to do it. So, in chapter 13, verses 1 through 10, we're gonna read all 10 verses, and then we're gonna start taking it apart a little bit at a time. So, chapter 13, verses 1 through 12.
1 through 10, 1 through 10.
1 through 10. Now try to listen to the key words and statements that advance the chapter.
Then I saw a beast rising up out of the sea. It had 7 heads and 10 horns, with 10 crowns on its horns. And written on each head were names that blasphemed God. This beast looked like a leopard, but it had the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave the beast his own power and throne and great authority. I saw that one of the heads of the beast seemed wounded beyond recovery, but the fatal wound was healed. The whole world marveled at this miracle and gave allegiance to the beast. They worshipped the dragon for giving the beast such power, and they also worshipped the beast. Who is as great as this beast? They exclaimed. Who is able to fight against him? Then the beast was allowed to speak great blasphemies against God. And he was given authority to do whatever he wanted for 42 months. And he spoke terrible words of blasphemy against God, slandering his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. And the beast was allowed to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And he was given authority to rule over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all the people who belong to this world worshipped the beast. They are the ones whose names were not written in the book of life that belongs to the Lamb who was slaughtered before the world was made. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand. Anyone who is destined for prison will be taken to prison. Anyone destined to die by the sword will die by the sword. This means that God's holy people must endure persecution patiently and remain faithful.
That last statement, for those that don't use this, or if they have accepted, they're gonna be looking at a tough time, these two working together. These two imposing figures come on the world scene somewhere during the last days. That doesn't mean they're worldwide, they're known, but they will be here really don't know. Establishing their position, so when the time comes, they step forward. They appear with some measure of prominence at the beginning of the tribulation, but halfway through, 3.5 years, they really start to show their power and authority. The Antichrist will become the world leader or dictator, and of course, the false prophet is the world leader of the one world religion. Now, Pastor Greg has mentioned this before from the pulpit, but for those of you that want a little review, especially the younger kids, we must first understand the difference of the capital A and a lowercase a, and talk about Antichrist. The Bible teaches and uses their one capital Antichrist in many lowercases and Antichrist in 1 John 2:8. Teaching John is telling us that there is coming an actual individual who will be the capital Antichrist, but also people who operate with the spirit of the Antichrist have already been here. Some still may be. Who will rise to world upon us, being inspired by Satan's evil ways, and who will promote evil and propagate or spread evil on the people. Now remember, we've got, since the church has been raptured, the righteous are gone, so that leaves who? That leaves the unrighteous, so they're going to spread evil to evil people. If that makes sense. And John was writing in his day, it would have been familiar to the first century saints, because a little a to them or an Antichrist, people like to promote Nero, just a horrible person who killed thousands of them after Christians. One of his favorite things to do was to dip them in oil and then put them on a cross at night in his garden and set them on fire while he sat on his patio from there and played his violin. He just enjoyed doing that, torturing Christians. Some people, in interpreting the book of Revelation, hold to a view that is called the preterist, Predeverist, view. Preterist. Basically, they believe that the book of Revelation is not prophetic. That includes all events, but it's a historical fiction. And I don't believe that prophecy is being historical because it hasn't happened yet. Sure, it gets there, but they give offer one exception in their belief, with the exception of Christ's return. How do you believe part of it, but not all of it? So the preterists would say that the Antichrist has already come, and their view is that the Antichrist was Nero.
It doesn't make sense.
Never heard of that.
They also claim that John is writing about the first century events in a hidden language. Now, I don't know what that hidden language is, so who knows what they believe? And why would they believe parts and not all of it? Now, let's look at some small Antichrist in history. The first one to pop up after Nero was Hitler. In the 1930s, the evangelical church was convinced Hitler was an Antichrist and that Mussolini was the false prophet. Others believe the Antichrist was Joseph Stalin, the ruler of Russia, and he was known in history as the greatest mass murderer of all times. Killed 30 million people of his own belief. That's population control. So he was a small Antichrist. And yes, if you're thinking he was demonic, they can control. Here's one of his favorite quotes. You may find the simplest thing about today. People who cast the votes don't decide an election. It's the people who count the votes who do.
Amen.
Still true. If
Anything that's going on in Russia during his reign.
Yep. It's like,
If you vote for the opposition, it went trash. Probably not with other people, but they didn't care. So I'm sorry, great.
oh, I was gonna say, what Chicago was, just be sure to remember to vote and vote often.
You're right.
In review of what John is doing in his writing, he specifically uses the word antichrist in the St. Louis Affairs book on chapter. It doesn't appear in the book of Revelation. Antichrist has become, the Antichrist has become so common a name that even non-believers recognize the name. And that kind of like, oh yeah, we have a new world leader.
Don't forget the ball China.
Yeah, you have all of the neat things that happen and people in our biblical history, but you have people that don't believe it. They'll tell you that, I know that, I've heard that. I'm sorry, what did you say?
And don't forget the Chinese, the communists, the more.
Nasty Tom, he actually killed more than Saul.
Yeah, he did. He was the biggest mass murderer.
How many did he murder?
I have no
The sad part is, in this country, we have some antichrist that murder people, but not millions and millions of millions. In Daniel chapter 11, and I'm giving you these because I want to make sure, I don't want to slow us down, we'll wind up spending more Wednesday nights. But in Daniel chapter 11, verses 36 through 39, there's a couple of things in these scriptures to recognize. One, in Daniel 11, verse 36, they speak blasphemies against God of all gods. Blasphemies against the Bible. In the book of Revelation, the fourth seal, verses 7 and 8. So ugly things are going to come out of the Antichrist's mouth. If you think you've heard vulgarity now, he's probably a new word for you. Point two, he will continue in prominence until the wrath has been accomplished. He has power until the end of the tribulation, which culminates in the gathering at Armageddon. And at that time, everything will come to an end. In verse 37 of Daniel 11, he has no regard for the God of his father. The Hebrew word is Elohim, and it describes God of the Bible. Elohim is supreme power, majesty, and sovereignty as the creator and judge. Likely, a Jewish idiom meaning that Antichrist may be Jewish. Interesting fact, I thought. When you look at the translation of Elohim, which means translating God or the mighty one. For some people, that could be Jewish.
Well, that could be the reason why he paid so much attention to Jerusalem and the temple.
Good point. Well, at least he has the knowledge, he knows where, I wonder if he really knows that his end is coming when he gets there.
I'm sure the dragon knows.
He's not, this has to be, I'll forget about this point. He's not, concerned about his life, I don't think, because he knows it may be short. It's what he wants to do is take as many people with him as he can. And the more he can destroy, then the better. Yeah, I guess he'll go eternal in the lake of fire. All right, Robert.
What?
No,
I was-
Steve, I'm sorry.
Maybe it'll be a descendant of Dan, since the whole.
Yeah, we had that discussion that he could come from the tribe of Dan, but right now you can't find a Jewish person in Israel that knows what tribe they're from unless they're a Levite.
Yeah.
So it's a good point, but
Well, I was thinking possibly an Edomite
and he would be referring back, you could be referring back to Abraham as the faith of his father. And the Edomites are throughout the Old Testament, they're condemned more than any other nation because of their disdain for, as a matter of fact, they were crying out to dash the children when the Babylonians came in and took captives. They wanted them just to slaughter all the children.
They need to sacrifice them by fire. You know, that was a big deal, back in the Old Testament was this, and I forgot what really should have been even, I should thank you for that reminder. So we know that, the Antichrist, is not gonna worship, the God of Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. He's got his own agenda to take care of. You want probably wonder why I turn them around. When I got these pads, you know, that's starting at the top, and then you turn it around and it's at the bottom. So,
the Canaanites were of Esau, the lineage is Esau. And so God condemned the Esau's Canaanites and all those folks that turned against and didn't help the Jews when they were captured and took to battle. And that's in the Bible.
we even get back in their early history, they're having trouble with their own people.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also remember who was the accuser of Job? Was a Temanite, one of the guys.
Yeah.
One of the three.
You'll find this, and this is interesting, in Daniel, chapter 11, verse 37, and here's gonna go a bunch of speculation by world scholars. He also had no regard for women. Some Bible scholars, and I don't know where they get this, but they do, believe that the Antichrist is a homosexual. Now, they make that statement from that phrase, he has no regard for women, which is not what that means. But looking at the Jewish idioms, yeah. Again, rather than being, I shortened it, a homo. This verse describes a figure who ignores the desire of women, also to marry and have children, which this figure rejects, and possibly indicating in a forced celibacy under his reign. And also a lack of tender human affection and relationship. So can you imagine what kind of person this Antichrist is? He has no regard. Not only is you're gonna have to worship him, and as the false prophet says, but, if you don't, or if you spend time with women, you'll probably get your head cut off there too. I mean, you just told a hateful person. In Daniel, verse 37, he has no regard for any God. And he will have no regard for Jesus, the Messiah. In verse 38 of Daniel, he, being the Antichrist, will honor a God of fortresses, meaning that he will hold unilateral power and use the military to subdue all the people, not part, but all the people of the world. So how does the Antichrist come into world power? We may be getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but we're looking at Revelation chapter 17. Just a quick review of verses 12, 13, and 14 tell us. We see the term 10 horns. And John helps us by telling us that 10 horns are 10 kings, so at least we know that much. And John continues by telling the 10 kings give their power and authority to the beast. So once and we're going to discuss it later, once the world is separated into 10 kingdoms, not all the different countries there'll just be 10 kingdoms, he'll finally persuade them and have so much power that he takes all of their authority from them and rules what they were ruling one time. So he puts them in position and then turns around and yanks the rug right out from under them. So, these 10 kings give up everything to the beast. The Bible also speaks about a time coming that the world, as we just mentioned, will be divided into 10 geographical territories. And each territory will have, a king. Looking at the European Union, which a lot of people want to get in this discussion, but I'll give you this quick insight into that in this stage. By looking at the European Union, you can begin to see the necessity of economic health, organization, and a need for confederations. Right now, there is 100, if I remember right, I've got my notes here, but 120 some applications to join the European Union. And right now, there are 30 that sit in their little group now, discussing things of what's gonna happen, because they're trying to get reduced back down to 10. They don't know why, but, so there's a lot of people, a lot of countries that wanna be part of their, club, but it's not gonna happen. In Revelation 17:13, we see the phrase power and authority is given to the beast. Now, how is this one person gonna accomplish that? I can't think of any really charismatic person, but he'll be very charismatic, charming political world leader who will be entrusted with world power. So he could very easily be here now, growing in his political stature, and then when it becomes his time, he'll step forward. Now, this guy's gonna solve all the problems of the world.
Right. So once you think about what's going on right now, we're looking at somebody's gonna have to step up and bring peace to the Middle East. That will be a clue. Someone who might not even be, who might not be aware of, might be that person who comes up with a peace plan. And what is the length of the peace plan? 7 years. Yeah, so, I mean, what's going on is we can look at what's going on right now with all the turmoil, what they're bombing, Israel, bombing Iran, and then Iran's bombing everybody around. That used to be their family. And so somebody's gonna step up and say, this is gonna be the solution. Somebody's gonna have to take the motion, to get these people to sit down at the table.
Yes.
And whoever's able to accomplish that, we need to keep real close eye.
Keep close eyes on Jewish people and also Gentiles. You know, and possibly in Europe. European Union. See,
So about 3 months ago, I think, I have this conservative news feed that comes through, and as I was scrolling through it, and I came up on this article about this young man in about 30s who is very well known within the European communities and their government, and very well liked by the Americans. So I'm like, this is good reading later, and just popped up and as you know, just put it aside and just went on, and later on I say like, hey, I'm gonna look at this, and they're trying to share with me, and I couldn't find it anywhere. But I'm just saying that that's not what, but what I'm saying is like, because I thought it was really interesting, because that's how Antichrist, he's very well liked in the beginning, and you know, very well known in the communities, in the governmental communities of European countries. And also like by the Americans and others.
And he doesn't really show his true colors until.
No.
later.
So I thought that was I can find that article again. And when I search,
Yeah, we need to, and that's a good point, we need to be very careful and discerning when we hear such things, or read them.
Yeah.
I mean, need to say we know what, people start all kinds of issues. A quick overview of what we're gonna see concerning the Antichrist in verses 1 through 10, his wickedness, in verse 2, his wounding, himself in verse 3, the words, that he uses in verses 5 and 6, the warfare in verse 7, and the worship of him, verses 8, 4, 8, and 12. So, we'll look right into it. We're now ready to talk about the verses. Verse 3. On one of these heads, meaning, being described as having 7 heads, but one of them, now, just remember, he's not a monster, but we're talking about symbolism here. If he has 7 heads, which means he has a lot of authority. Number 7 indicating that he has world power, and one of his heads received a wound. So, some good natured person tried their best to take his life. There is a lot about this in Bible scholars debate about what all of this means. So we're going to have to, or I'd like to, someone turn to Zechariah chapter 11, verses 15, 16, and 17.
Then the Lord said to me, take again the equipment of a foolish shepherd. For I am going to raise up a shepherd over the land, who will not care for the lost, or seek the young, or heal the injured, or feed the healthy, but will eat the meat of the choice sheep, carrying off their hooves. Woe to the worthless shepherd, who deserts the flock. May the sword strike his arm, and his right eye. May his arm be completely weathered, his right eye totally blinded.
So, we read, I know at least 2, possibly 3 of his names in that chapter. Read what they are, the wounded shepherd, or the worthless shepherd,
The foolish shepherd, worthless shepherd, and
so that's way back in the book of Zechariah prophesying what's gonna be happening. Obviously, there's gonna be an assassination attempt on his life. You think they shoot him from some far off range, but someone's gonna take a knife or sword to him and whack him in the head and blind him in one eye and cripple him in one arm. But you would think that people think, oh, well, we'll see, this guy's got any good, but what do you think that wound will do for him? Sympathy. Our world leader has been someone being mean. Unfortunately, he will be raised from the dead, which is part of God's plan. And his good buddy, the false prophet, will do this and take credit for it. Even though God is in charge, they don't know that. So it's not by God's healing, but still it's a miraculous healing by a counterfeit miracle. And when you discover the wounds as we just read will be visible. After a dramatic brain injury, his right eye was blinded, and his left arm probably not even useful. Even with these injuries, is what we talked about a while ago, the people will be like, wow, and worship him as God. I don't remember God getting injuries, but that's because he's the right. In verse 4, it worships the beast. The false prophet starts to fan the flame for the worshiping of Satan and the beast. And a lot of people get that confused. Satan's the one calling the shots, and the Antichrist is his right hand man. Just like, you know there's a legal Trinity, right? Everybody got that? Okay. In verses 5 and 6, in comparing that to verse, 7, you ready to make war. You want to oppose that. In verse 7, the warfare, the Antichrist is given power to make war against the saints. Now remember, he's given that power. He doesn't have it, God allows him to do that. To make war against the saints. These are believers who get saved during the tribulation. The Antichrist will use his power to target Christians and will persecute those who believe. So another tough thing for Christians, belief, to grow in verse 8, the Christians that accept Jesus will become Christ martyrs. Remember, we've seen that of all of the secret people under the throne,
Under the altar.
under the altar. And so they will become Christ martyrs. And you know, that's a big step for them that going through tribulation, they accepted that and yet they're willing to give their lives, which is what we're supposed to do. Second section, the false prophet, the beast from the earth. Verse 11 through 18.
Okay. Verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And verse 12, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Verse 13, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Verse 14, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of these miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Verse 16, and he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 66.
And we're gonna have some interesting figures on that, or not figures, but people. Supposedly that represented that. So, in verses 11 to 18, which we're talking about the false prophet, we see the Greek word allos, which is another of the kind. So he's bringing about a very worldly system. The Antichrist is in charge of the system. But the false prophet is going to put together a worldly system, a world religious system. Now, you see the mention of two horns, and which is the number or testimony, meaning the meaning comes from the Bible, but this is a foundational legal and spiritual standard for validating truth. Is two or three witnesses. And you can't do that, you know, you can believe the person.
Matthew 18:16. But if he will not hear, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, everyone every word they've established. Now, let's, consider this for just a minute. High schoolers are really good. And I told them, as I go through my preschool orientation, if you get called to the office by the principal, to the assistant principal, we had three really good ones. Don't lie, because they know one or two things. You know something about what they need to know about, or you did. Guess what they do when they walk in the office, ask for a question. Let me give you a quick example. We started this act against people that were different. I had a new student come in from somewhere to the west. And he's a good student. But he liked drama, and he was just a little bit on the sissy side, they thought. So we're going through our shop activities one afternoon. And I turned around and looked, I have a vestibule with soda pops in my shop. Here comes two guys in, and both of them are just red-faced and out of breath and sweating. Now, they didn't go out there to get a drink. Of course, you know, that beat. And when I talked to the two of them, I said, well, he looked up my butt. That's what we'll find out. I said to Mrs. Bramble, who been there long, and she was tough. So she was interrogating me. First thing he did was lie. She said, did you do so-and-so? No. She said, okay. So she picked up the phone. That's all she died. What are you doing? I called him, please. This is a hate crime. You're going to jail. His whole story changed. But the first thing he did was lie. And I'd already told him for 3 years, and he's now a senior. Don't do that. But they know. And the longer you talk, the more trouble it is. So when we want to make an accusation, we have a very detailed discipline outline in Matthew, about what you need to do for a secretary. If you go person first and they don't want to listen, then you take 2 or 3 people with you, they still don't listen, then you put that in front of the church. And then if you still don't take listen, you say goodbye.
Timothy.
Nice one.
Timothy. And also Titus, it talks about responsibility to confront.
The truth is so easy to do, but yet some people are just so hard. Because what happens when you tell one lie? Just keeps going. Remember we talked about the Eastern type of writing and talk? They talk in such emotions. That's what lying is. You continue until finally, okay, you're guilty. So we have 2 horns like a lamb. Of course, he's not a lamb, and he spoke like a dragon. So he has a religious testimony, but speaks like a dragon, and he speaks with deception. Because Satan is behind him. Satan is behind him. In verse 12, the Antichrist forces people, the population is left to worship the Antichrist. And if you don't do that, what happens? You're going to die. In verse 13, the false prophet, as God had performed great signs, he can send fire from heaven. He can't do anything new, but he mimics what's already been done. Such as with Elijah the prophet in 1 Kings 18:38. That's when Elijah called down fire. In verse 14, once again, remember, we're not talking about a small community or Missouri. We're talking about his deception is worldwide.
The number, as the beast, is 666. A quick summary of the false prophet. His purpose in verse 12, his power in verses 13 and 15, his plan in verses 16 to 18. His power, you have to remember, don't believe everything that you see, because he has this miraculous power, but every powerful manifestation is not from God. It's just mimic. You need to test spirits and test manifestations. Your only guidebook is the Bible. If you don't know what's in there, it's hard for you to justify or stand for the truth. If the issue that you're witnessing is not in the Bible, retreat quickly. The false prophet raised the Antichrist from the dead. He gave life to the image of the Antichrist. You see that in verse 15, called fire now from heaven, and he keeps people focused. He's total God, keep people focused on the Antichrist and away from God. In verse 15, the breath of life, the false prophet could perform. There are two words for this breath of life in the Greek. Vital, which is defined means life, specifically referring to a manner or a mode, where we get a biology. But that doesn't fit in verse 15. It's the Greek word pneuma, defined breath or wind, which translates to spirit in religious and philosophical context. So we don't know for sure if it's actually the Antichrist or his image that is brought to life. Remember, he's taking the image in
In the temple.
Same thing. In Daniel chapters 9 and 12, Daniel describes there the rebuilding of the temple. So the plan of the false prophet, he forces everyone to accept the mark of the beast. And if you do not accept, that's the false prophet. And if you do not accept, you're inflicted with punishment on you or on your family. Some people think that he could use conversion to say that if Steve, if you don't accept his mark, you take your family. That's how cruel this is.
Hey, thanks for Ron. So here, this is the second phase of the Great Tribulation, right? Second half of it, the beast. Talking about this particular beast.
Well, we're getting preliminary viewing.
Right. So the question that I have is potentially, instead of him being raised from dead, and this person of Antichrist, was he possessed, actually being possessed by Satan himself?
Correct.
Coming to life, rather than actually being raised from the dead. But I mean,
False prophet was being controlled by Satan also.
right. So was he getting possessed by Satan, the Antichrist man, was being possessed by Satan at this point to come back to life? I mean,
If that's what forces him to come back to life, power, they're given power for his duration.
Okay.
To mimic things. He doesn't really have to do with mimics. So, also, if you do not accept this mark, we just talked about you don't buy and don't sell anything. So, the number 666 over the years has borne a great speculation between Christians that do not take the mark will either die of hunger or be martyred, or just flat run out of supplies. 666 is, the number six is, the number six in the scripture is for man. Man was created in day six. Or it is simply could be a triplicate six to indicate mankind. It could also refer to the dragon, the first six, the Antichrist, this is the evil trinity. The Antichrist, the second, and the false prophet, the third six. We don't know that, that's what we're doing. In today's thinking, some thought goes into the 666 represented, well, this is so stupid, I hate to say it. Ronald Wilson Reagan. Each name has 6 letters. So they think that, here comes another one, I think all of them. How many Democrats are in here? Don't get offended. Or, if you take the year 2022 and divide it by Joe Biden's campaign tax number, it will equal 0.0666. That's how these people go to try to find something that absolutely makes no sense.
Numbers are unique.
Got one of those sidebar. Cindy wrote down an area code and she was supposed to be 606 and she put 666. So when she called the number, well, guess what?
What happened?
There's no 666 area code, but there used to be.
Yeah, well, man.
And can you imagine? Yeah, somebody calls it all 666. Yeah. Then the number, hello?
Yeah.
Where are you? Where have I called?
Someone we're gonna close our lesson here with, 1 Thessalonians 5. It's not gonna be about Joe Biden. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 4 through 10. Preaching back there.
First Thessalonians.
Ready.
Yeah. Verse 4, chapter 5, 1 Thessalonians. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief. Verse 5, ye are all children of the light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Verse 6, therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Verse 7, for they that sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. Verse 8, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet the help of salvation. Verse 9 also?
9 and 10. 9 and 10.
Okay. Verse 9 says, for God hath not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ. Verse 10, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him.
So, you see that there's, can't think of where I'm looking at, but you use the day and night. Most people do things wrong, well, like doing night activities and. And people that live by the night, at light are a little nicer people and go in their house and lock the doors and have a good night's sleep or depending on where they live. Next week, we're going to look at the Lamb and the 144,000 in the first section of our lesson. Please thank you for the community with that and being able to once again share and get input from each of the brothers and sisters that are here that have something to offer. So it's always good to get understanding and then to share that. So as we continue through this book, may we be blessed, sharing this message, that it becomes a mission tool for us. So we finish this week and look forward to our Can be worse, prejudices, man.